Morning.
Morning, Woman Made family. It's good to be back online with you this morning. And to the moms out there, happy
Mother's Day.
I must say, Trace, it's a little bit strange to be having Mother's Day in lockdown. Normally,
I'm sure it is.
Normally, it's where should we go for lunch? And now it's like, oh, what are we making?
Now it's like, oh dear. Yeah, I said I would take on the responsibility for lunch today, so I'm cooking my mama lunch.
That's
so
delicious.
yeah.
What's for lunch? What's for lunch?
Chicken and veg, but like fancy chicken and veg, not like. And
I would expect nothing less from you, Trace.
I've tried a little fancy dessert with berry mousse and a few things. So yeah, we'll see how it turns out. But yeah,
we've had to get a little creative.
We have definitely
moms today.
Absolutely. So yeah, let's ask all the moms out there, what have you been doing this Mother's Day? What did your kids do for you? Or if you did something for your mom, what did you do for them? What has your experience of Mother's Day been like in this lockdown? Lee, tell us quickly what your kids did for you today.
Oh, it was very sweet. They painted, my Annabelle had painted a canvas for me with these beautiful,
lovely
flowers that were in the shape of hearts. It was very
cute.
Sweet. And my Zaki had painted, well, I was in the picture, of course, I was in the picture as well. Don't you just love how children see you? It's just wonderful.
Oh, no, it's awesome.
And my Zaki also he painted me with these long flowing locks. It was very sweet. And
you do have long flowing locks, Lee.
But his were spot on. And then we had, and then I it's not like you can go out and buy many things right now.
No,
so
no, definitely not.
Bubble bath and more bubble bath.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, we'll have to play with bubbles later or something.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not a mom, but my niece, who's 5, treated her mom to a spa day yesterday, and so I got to be a part of that. So I had my toenails painted, and
fun.
It was lots of fun. She made it very fancy. There was music, what she calls ballet music with no words. And there was slices of cucumber for our eyes. It was very, very fancy, the whole trip. So yeah, that was very special. So
it's what they take in terms of,
it is,
what they learn from us. Like,
absolutely,
it's amazing, absolutely amazing. So Tracy, on the part of our chat today, we giving Ben and Abby some floor time, and I think they've got a really great topic, and part of that is families and conflict. You had a little family meeting recently, didn't you?
We did. So yeah. So for some context, we're quite a big family, all living together in lockdown, in 2 separate houses next door, but with the gate. So we see each other quite often. And so yeah, we did have we needed to discuss some stuff in terms of kind of lockdown and how everyone was reacting to it and that sort of stuff. And yeah, it wasn't an easy conversation, but I think what was really awesome was we understood, and our family is not particularly great at dealing with conflict. It's not really something. Yeah, no, I guess there isn't, but it's not. We're more likely to just kind of pretend stuff hasn't happened. So anyway, so it was really good, and I think I've learned some stuff about conflict over the last couple of months, whatever. And so it was helpful. We really spoke about what each other's needs were. So what do you need? And then we tried to find ways to solve those needs, which was really, really helpful. So, one group was trying to solve it in a certain way, but we ended up finding an alternative which works for everyone. Awesome. And what was actually really special was we all ended up praying together afterwards for each other. So it actually turned into a really special time.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, Benjamin and Abby, would you like to join us? We'd love to just say hi.
Hello.
Hello. Morning. I heard you guys having a little chat last Sunday night as part of the evening service, and I absolutely loved what you guys had to say. And so I thought our morning congregation definitely needed to hear it. So I'm going to hand the floor over to you. It's wonderful to have you be a part of our service this morning.
Yeah, thanks, Lee. It's so fun to be with everyone. Thanks for having us. You guys are the real MVPs. Here in the morning, you have to get up super early for church. So well done for making it. Just quick plug here for the evening service. You don't have to get up early, way more chilled. You can wear holes in your jeans, stuff like that. So definitely worth checking out.
Evening service.
Actively trying to steal people here from the morning service. We are back in Port Elizabeth. We have been in quarantine on Abby's family farm, and there were a lot of us on the farm. And so conflict was a real thing.
Yeah, it definitely was. It was something that we had to manage. And it's funny, I think you go into a situation like that knowing that you're probably going to hit a few bumps. It was actually really funny. My dad was saying, I actually hope that we have a few conversations, which someone like me who absolutely hates conflict, that was like traumatizing. I'm like, why would you ever want to have these conversations? But he just knew that, you know, stuff would come up, and because we only ever see each other in such short periods of time, these things never really come up. And so in terms of that, it was actually such a gift that we started butting heads a little bit, because then actually some stuff, you know, came out and we actually got to talk about it, and it actually ended up being really, really healthy and really rewarding in many ways. So we had one or two tough conversations. I think one of them kind of stretched over 2 days, and yeah, so it was tough, but definitely worth it in the end, and worth like pushing in to find connection afterwards. Yep.
I think lots of us have a little bit of PTSD over and trauma over tough conversations or conflict. Yeah. But I think one of the best things we can do up front is recognize conflict as a positive thing. Mm-hmm. Conflict means you have individuals with individual ideas, and there can't be unity without conflict. Mm-hmm. If you all simply agree with each other, that's uniformity, not unity. Yeah. And so unity is a really, really important thing in our lives. And Jonathan David Helser describes it this way. He says, when there's conflict between him and his wife, it's like the tension on his guitar string. And without tension on a guitar string, if you pluck it, it won't make a sound. And so conflict produces tension, and tension actually produces beautiful music. Mm-hmm. And so the way we handle conflict is more important than the fact that conflict happens. And so we just wanted to provide some thoughts that we had after spending so much family time on handling conflict. And the first one is family time is a blessing. And a lot of us are getting an unusual amount of family time right now. And so as much as that produces conflict or difficult situations, let's start with the brain level, the basic level, that it's a blessing. And it's so great to be with family and have so much time there together.
Yeah.
And the next kind of thought is that like lockdown is going to produce stress, and that is so justifiable. It is definitely something we can expect, and it is justifiable. So the way you're feeling right now, the frustration you're feeling, either with the powers that have caused you to be in the situation, the frustration with this unknown virus, all those feelings are justifiable and understandable. Yeah. And so we kind of need to be aware that this time is a blessing because we get time with family, but actually the frustration we're feeling is justifiable and understandable. Yeah. And it's not just justifiable for me, but it's actually justifiable for Abby too. So when she's experiencing a higher level of frustration and there's more conflict than normal, I can remind myself that Abby is going through an unusual, difficult situation, and so that I require to have more grace in this time, because actually her feelings are justified.
Yeah, and I think it's helpful just to go into it. I mean, we all know that this is an absolutely crazy time, and so when you're actually approaching conflict, or when stuff comes up, it's much easier to approach it and to understand it when you realize, oh, okay, we're all going through like this base level of crazy feelings and frustration. So on top of that, conflict is coming up, but at a base level, there's some level of frustration, confusion. I mean, I think I keep saying to Ben, I just don't understand. There's so many things I just don't understand. And that can be really frustrating because you don't have answers. You don't know what's coming ahead of you. And so at a base level, there's all those things going on before you even get to the conflict. So I think just remembering that and just having grace for your family and for the people that you're living with, and just realizing that they're processing things differently to how you're processing. And people are different in the way. A lot of people tend to shut down. Some people are just verbal about everything. And neither is bad. And I think we just need to remember that we're different in how we deal with this. So, yeah.
So a really, really great tool for families or groups of people together is just to give yourself space to talk about what is happening. And that space needs to be quite well managed because people deal with conflict differently. And so I don't mind voicing my opinion. I don't actually mind conflict. Abby would choose to voice her opinion sometimes, but hates conflict. And so this...
I'm getting better.
You're getting way better.
Yep.
But the space that you create needs to make sure that everyone has a space where they can share just what's on their heart. And the idea of that is the two goals are always connection and understanding. My goal can never be to be right or get my way. My goal is always connection with Abby and connection with the other people I'm with and understanding where they're at. Yep. So if my goal is connection, then I'm not trying to prove my point or make sure what I want out of the situation happens. My goal at the end of the conversation is that you and I are connected.
Yeah.
And that's a really powerful goal when it comes to family conversations.
Yeah, I mean, we can speak about these things and it sounds like we, speaking of tools or lofty ideas, but I just remember feeling when we were having these conversations with my family, at the end of the day, there's this thing inside of me that wants to make sure that by the end of it, like, I feel connected with them again. And I think that's a human desire. And I think that especially if we're living with family in this town, I know some family situations are really tough, but there is that thing inside of you that actually wants to connect. So I think naturally that will happen. And I think just pulling on that and making sure that you are connected afterwards. And it's okay if it lasts 2 or 3 days. But I think, once just going after that and making sure that you're connected. It's good.
Yeah, absolutely. So just 2 quick thoughts before we hand over to Jonathan. And the first thought is this: you're worthy of compassion. And so often we find it's easy to have compassion for other people, but we have a tough time having compassion for ourselves. And you're worth taking the time to have compassion for. So in conflict, in difficult situations, make sure you have compassion for yourself. And the last thought is just no pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. I tend to put pressure on myself. And I think I've just realized throughout this whole lockdown, I just felt like the Lord was speaking to me about the fact that there's so much grace and there's really, really so much grace available to us to access. And there really is no pressure to be or to perform or to be anything in this time. So grace to you guys.
Absolutely. So fun being with you this morning. I'm going to hand over to Leanne and Jonathan.
Thanks, Ben. So good to hear from you guys. It was really cool. I think a very timely reminder for all of us. I'm going to invite Alan to join me on the screen because we're having a chat with Alan Barr this morning. And we've been chatting about a couple of things. And so, yes, over Jonathan, are you taking the floor?
No, Leanne, I think you and Alan are chatting, so I'm quite happy to pass it on to Alan. Yeah.
I'm just wondering why you're here.
Morning, Leanne.
I was like, I'm sure I was going to do this, but it's all good. It's all good. Welcome to live streaming. Alan, thanks for joining us on our live stream this morning. It's great to have you. And we've been chatting a little bit about, this whole lockdown story. There's so many things that kind of people, sometimes they're agreeing with what's happening in terms of our government and the decisions that are being made. I find that quite a few people are starting to kind of bend the rules a little bit because, we're heading into week 7. So maybe you can just share from your perspective how important it is that we kind of stick to our guns and stick to the rule of law per se. Give me some of your thoughts.
Leanne, it's a very complex situation that we got here, and I think not everyone's got all the facts, but everyone's got a view, and I think that's one of the challenges. And big businesses looked at the risks facing the country. In fact, the biggest risk is not COVID or the economy. The biggest risk at the moment is the inability to maintain law and order. Sure. We cannot maintain law and order then the ripple effect is going to impact social unrest. It's going to impact the economy, etc. But at the moment, maintaining law and order, everyone sticking to the parameters is critical. And this is a lesson that we've learned, from those countries that have been through this already, especially in the East. So I think for us as the church, we really need to set the example. We really need to stay in the parameters, but as well as giving feedback on maybe ideas or suggestions in a responsible way. I think there's too much noise on social media and any other areas to people to voice their opinions, but not doing it in a responsible manner to give some input on where we're going. I mean, everyone's frustrated. There's a lot of uncertainty, but I think we really need to stick to our guns on this side.
Yeah. So, I mean, Alan, if I look at, for instance, America, because obviously we often look to America for, although I don't know that we should be anymore, but we are. America is a very loud voice. Let's put it that way. America is a very loud voice. And of course, Americans are always fighting for, their constitutional rights and their freedoms. And, often even if it comes at a cost to those around them, not always the safest decisions or the safest rights that they're fighting for. And it seems like there's this, I don't know if it's just me, but there's this kind of undercurrent of unrest, as you mentioned a little earlier. So how do we manage that, I guess, in terms of the role that we get to play?
Yeah, look, my sister lives in America, so I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. So, and I don't think they're a good example, right? But I think, for me, I think what we need to, we need to realize that God is in control. Let's just put that as number one. So the fact that He's in control gives us comfort, despite all the uncertainty. And I can say from a personal experience, 2 years this week, I was told that my office that I run in Port Elizabeth was going to be closed. 2 years this day. And I just handed it over to Him, so that knowing that He's in control, and that didn't happen because I just trusted Him with that He's in control. And I think in Romans, I think it refers to that He has put various authorities in place, and we actually have to abide by them and listen to the rules. Okay, and if we don't, if we rebel, then we're actually rebelling against God. So in my view, we got to not worry about tomorrow. We've got to focus on today. We've got to focus on how to make a difference, and as Christians, we can have peace that He's in control. So we can actually set that example, despite all the anxiety and uncertainty and the conflict that is happening, because people are frustrated. And as Ben mentioned, it's understandable. But it's a great opportunity for us, in my view, to put our faith and really put our faith in Him and understand that He's in control no matter what happens. And I think this has been a great opportunity for people just to take a step back, see what is important in their life, see, building those relationships with family members, with people they haven't spoken to in a long time. So, the authority is not going to get it all right. And hindsight is a 2020 is a perfect science. And we'll only see down the time. But I think we need to respect the decisions being made. It's not easy. We don't have all the facts. And when leaders make a certain decision, we may not understand why they're making the decision, but because we don't have all the information. So in my view, we need to support, we need to pray. I think at the moment we really need to pray for Cyril and the team and government to really make decisions for the benefit of everyone, because there's some serious risks happening at the moment. Yeah,
it's very serious. Yes. Alan, as somebody who leads, we all get, I believe we all get to lead in some way, shape or form. Somebody is watching us and taking their cues from us. How do we kind of cultivate hope and even a sense of freedom in the midst of all of this stuff in the world?
I saw an interesting article the other day about active hope leadership. Active hope. So, I think it's about, first, as an individual, as a leader, being confident of where we're going and realizing there is going to, we're not going to go back to how it was. It's going to be a new reality, and that's what we need to be planning for. And actually putting steps in place on how we're going to manage it, how we're going to manage the people that we're working with, and the example we lead, what we say, how we say it, is quite important. And to me, the key thing that I strive to do every day, and I think everyone can do that, is how do I make a difference every single day? How do I make a difference? How do I reach out to someone? How do I, what do I say? How do I add value? And at the same time, sharing it, sharing how you've made a difference. I mean, there's so many things happening at the moment in terms of people reaching out to the communities that are, struggling during this time. I mean, that's unbelievable, and it's one of the positives. So our thing is looking at the positives that are coming out here and focusing on, as opposed to focusing on the negative. That's there, but let's focus on the positive and make a difference.
Yeah, because we can sometimes get stuck there.
No, it's very easy.
So easy to do, and yet I was reading. I keep going back to 2 Corinthians 1, and in the Passion Translation, it talks about the fact that God in His mercy pours His comfort out over us, and so and He does that so that we get to be the source of comfort for those around us. And it's just such a relevant word for me, and I think it speaks to that active hope. Like, what are you doing actively to be a part of the solution, and I guess not part of the problem?
I think people must remember it's lights, camera, action, right? Someone's watching you. Your kids are watching you. Everyone's watching.
Everyone's watching, and now they're watching live. Alan, thank you so much for your time this morning. It was really good to get a different perspective, and thank you for joining us. Incredible, actually, to know that you get to share some of your story on a day that could have been like detrimental for you, and yet it just shows how God turns things around.
Thanks, Leanne. Nice chatting to you.
Wonderful. Thanks for your time. That's great. Cheers. So Trace, sure, 2 really good conversations.
Really, really good. And so guys, who if you listened, send people back to this link afterwards if you found that really helpful, and you wanted them to have a listen to that. We've got loads of people watching today, so everyone's saying Happy Mother's Day to everyone else. I do want to just read something in particular that someone wrote. We had someone say here, Donnay Wheeler said that she was woken up to breakfast in bed, and lovely homemade cards from her boys. I love that, because we can't be getting anything else at the moment.
Right.
And she said now they're doing the chores while I relax. So there we go, kids. That is what moms want, for you to do the chores. That'll be the greatest Mother's Day present. But I do just want to read, Adrian Wilson posted a prayer for Mom's Day, which I just want to read. A mother's love, a mother's care, a mother's sigh, a mother's prayer, a mother's work and mother's day, leaves little time for any play. A godly mother with godly love is a treasure from God above. A godly mother with godly care has God's help when she sighs a prayer.
Sure, that's beautiful.
So it's been wonderful having everyone with us today. There is something different happening today. So we're splitting this over 2 streams. So this stream is going to end now, and the church online, the actual service, is going to start at 9 o'clock. Just before 9. So we're going to end the stream. You'll just need to do the same thing and go click the church live button for the next stream. Shout if you have any hassles. So we're ending the stream and we're starting the church online stream in about 3 minutes. So we'll see you on that stream there. It's been wonderful having you with us today. Thank you to Alan and to Ben and Abby. Happy Mother's Day to all the wonderful moms out there.
Happy Mother's Day.